This fancy background, David.
Hello,
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great. Excited to chat with our friends today.
Yeah, we will get started here in a few minutes. We had to change our Zoom link because we had I think well over 200 people signing up for the our webinar here. And so uh hopefully
Amazing.
everyone is got the memo related to the change and is able to jump into the new Zoom link, which is where we are right now.
Great.
And Katie, if you could help by um, check, watching our questions, we have questions and answers as we go along,
Sure.
and you can jump in as we go along and help. Let me know about any questions.
You got it.
Well, I'll let everyone know. So I'm here. I live in Cleveland, Ohio. It is currently snowing here. There's about, I don't know, 7 inches of snow on the ground. Uh, and I realized it is actually, I was just in Virginia like 2 days ago where it just started snowing. And I think there's a lot of our Midwest that is all concerned, that is getting a lot of snow at different places. Katie, you're in Tennessee.
Yeah, we had snow yesterday, so we actually also have a few inches on the ground right now, which is surprising for Tennessee.
Yeah. And one of our other individuals who are just kind of watching our chat, her name is Colette, and she is in Denver. And so they get snow quite often. Colette, is there any snow where you are?
There is a little bit on the ground, but it really hasn't snowed a lot in the city. So it's mostly up staying up in the mountains, which is nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like here in Cleveland, we we kind of get snow. I mean, kind of a lot. And so our like snow trucks are just going barreling down the road and barreling down, the highway, getting us ready for the snow. So we've probably gotten at least 6 inches this thus far today, and we're like, man, it's is what it is. Where Katie, I'm guessing a few inches where you are, it's a big deal.
Yeah, we shut down yesterday. There
Yeah.
was no one was leaving their house yesterday.
Yep.
So, but it's melted off on the road, so we're back at it today.
What's that?
I said it's melted off on the road, so we're back at it today.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. We will get started here in just a minute. I see there's a bunch of people still jumping in. And for all of you guys, I think we just have, just so you know, we have a Q&A. I don't think you can chat, but we do have a Q&A. So you're welcome there's at the bottom of your screen, click Q&A. And I don't know, you could use it as a chat, ask a question in the form of a statement if you need. But definitely feel free to ask questions at any point, and we'll be able to just help answer questions. Um, uh, Katie, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Katie Allred, and I work for AI for churches. Sorry, I was in the middle. We have a book that is coming out pretty soon, to help some churches with their AI prompts. So be on the lookout for that. But we just got the first, or I just got the first printed copy, so it's really exciting. I was just perusing it. But yeah, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I have worked in church communications for a lot of my career and wrote a book on church communications and now work with David on AI for churches. And I'm really excited to see these new parts of SermonSpark. Yeah. Thanks,
Cool.
David.
Yeah. And Colette, why don't you introduce yourself real quick so we know who you are?
Sure. My name's Colette Smith, and I work for the Missional Marketing Group of companies. So I work with AI at Missional Marketing and also church communications and missional marketing. I am a part of the marketing team. So a lot of the emails that you get are probably ones that I've touched and have pushed the send button. But yeah, I do all kinds of things, wear many hats.
Awesome. Yep, great. On that note, let me share my screen and let's jump into our SermonSpark training here, guys. And we'll get going. And that's the first thing I wanted to do was actually just to do a little bit of introduction. Yeah, my name is David Thorne. I do live in Cleveland, Ohio. And Katie and Colette, you guys are seeing my other screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Yep. You guys are my test case to know if we're showing the right stuff. And I oversee our brand AI for churches, but I also am the co kind of creator of SermonSpark. And so, if there's ever any ideas you have for SermonSpark or things you wish you would do, I would be the person you would talk with. So, I would love to hear any of your guys' feedback, ideas, suggestions, things you wish you would do if you run into any challenges. I'd be the person you would reach out to on SermonSpark. And I want to just thank the missional marketing branded companies for kind of sponsoring this training. And so the missional marketing brand of companies is comprised of three companies: Missional Marketing, AI for Churches, and the Church Communications Group. And just to give you an idea of what these guys do, in case this helps you, missional marketing helps with everything related to your outreach or marketing or online presence needs, things like the Google Ad Grant, church websites, any and all advertising. If you've ever thought about where do we advertise or how do we get our message out there, they're probably the number one company in the United States at doing that, working with over 1,000 churches every year. And the question, if you are asking this question, how easily can local people find your church online? They would be who you would reach out to. For AI for churches, that's what Katie and I help with. And for that, if your church is asking the question, what do we do? Do we have a clear path of how to implement AI in our church? AI for churches is who you talk with. And we have cohorts, trainings, consulting, kind of a launch point process. How do we launch AI in your church? And then finally, we have the church communications group, which Katie actually started and helped develop to an amazing, huge online presence of a group. And they do things like staff outsourcing. If any of you have lost a communications or a staff person of some sort, go see Church Communications Group. They also have cohorts. They help with project management. And if you are just overall looking to help find clarity in your church communications, that's who you would go see. If you are just kind of saying, I am interested in just kind of getting started in this world, what do I do? What I would say is go to our AI for Churches website, and which is ai-for-churches.com. There's a QR code there, which we'll send out this video to you later where you can see that. And we're also going to send a follow-up email where you'll be able to get the link. But I would say just go to the AI for Church website, book a call, and then we'll just kind of start the conversation of where is your church and what does it look like to take next steps for your church to grow in your online presence, and we'll kind of take it from there and let's chat. And that's what I would kind of suggest everyone does as kind of their next step after this training.
David, our friend Wanda here has a question about will the slides be available after the webinar?
Oh, so it's actually mostly not slides. I am just going to show you SermonSpark. So this is an interaction. You basically just saw the slides of this presentation, which is basically just me introducing myself, introducing our three brand of companies. But I will include the slides of our three companies so you can just see what our three companies do.
And
Uh,
what about the recording, David? Will that be sent out
mhm.
after?
I'm going to
Okay.
send out the video.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Uh, Let me share my screen again, and we are going to jump into it. This is where I would say you go if you are kind of looking to get started. Go to AI for Churches, and then over here on the right, you can click book a call, and this is just your easiest place to get started. And that's where we'll just kind of start there and then chat about what your next steps are. So with that, let's jump into SermonSpark. And we actually just had a new release just this past week. But what I kind of want to do with the rest of our time here is just kind of start from scratch. Start from you just logged in to SermonSpark for the very first time. How do you use SermonSpark? Just as an overview, SermonSpark is meant to be an AI powered friend to your sermon process, your sermon research, writing, brainstorming, and outreach. Kind of your whole sermon process. We've built SermonSpark to be your sermon writing friend. And so let me show you, if you log into SermonSpark, to figure out how can SermonSpark be used to your as an AI powered friend to your sermon writing process. The first thing I want to show you is if you log into here, you'll see some various things on the left here. These kind of show tools that are AI powered tools for every part of your sermon writing process. Tools related to research, researching your sermon, tools related to writing your sermon, and then tools related to reaching out or things you can do after you have your sermon. And we've also built in some fun related tools. Well, if you just want to go in here and play around with some things, there are some kind of fun tools in here as well. One place where I would suggest you start, because what I imagine, the way we want pastors to use this is basically on Monday morning when a person sits down at their desk and that person is saying, I need to start writing a sermon. Sunday comes every single week. Let me get started. What I would suggest is you might start by, we have the ability for people to create a project. So if you are writing a sermon this week, and maybe you don't know what it's called, but I don't know, let's call it February, I don't know, whatever this Sunday is, 25th, 2025, because it's not, we just say we don't even know what it is yet. We create a project called that. And then what happens is as we use all of the tools in SermonSpark, we'll be able to save everything we do into this project. So we could go back later and just kind of look through all the stuff that we worked on for this sermon. And we kind of have like a one easy stop for that. I wanted to show you a few other things over here on the left so you're aware of what else is over here. And then we're going to jump back and start using the tools. But over here on the left, you also notice we have your history. Every time you use a tool and run a tool, it will be saved in your history. So all of the tools that I have ever used are saved right here. So if you use a tool, you hit enter, and then you go somewhere else and you're like, what did I get? What did I come up with? All you have to do is go to your history. Second thing here is your profile and your subscription. That is worth noting a few things. We have 3 levels that a person can subscribe to. The first is a free level where you get 500 credits a month. The second is a opted in level, which you'll see here, a person can click to opt in, and then they get 1,000 credits a month. And then the third is our newly released paid tier, where you get 3,000 credits to use a month, and that costs $7.95. And then the other thing, so you can kind of go between those levels. Well, you can go up to a paid level or down to a not paid level is what you're able to do. The last thing I'll show you right here is support. So here we have some FAQs related to what you should know about SermonSpark, but we also have a way to contact us and a way to give us feedback. And at this point, we take your feedback very, very seriously. So if there's anything that you want to just let us know, probably me or one of my coworkers will email you back, and we'll definitely be taking seriously all the feedback that we get. So with that, let's jump back up to research. And I want to show you a few tools and we'll jump into writing. But all of these tools here are kind of meant to go through the process of what a pastor does when they're researching a sermon. And just for the background, for me personally, I moved to Cleveland to help start a church, and I've been a part of two successful church plants here in Cleveland, and I've done preaching. It's one of the things I did when I was on staff at a church plant, and so a lot of this comes from me and our team saying, what are the tools a real person who preaches? How does a pastor develop a sermon in their week? And what tools might they need in order to do that successfully? So that's kind of where the tools birthed from for SermonSpark. So I'll show you how a tool works. Let's start with a topic explorer. And the purpose of this tool is to say you sit down on Monday morning and you say, I'm just trying to think about a topic and what kind of things might I need to think about or be aware of if I am investigating or if I'm going to preach on a certain topic. So let's think about the example I was thinking about, because we're slowly moving towards Easter, is finding new life on Easter. That's kind of an intriguing, complex topic. But let's just say, we're thinking about new life, Easter, that kind of stuff, and it's going to think about the answer. And here's things that it's going to give you. So it's going to give you some audience perspective, like what might young adults or parents or seniors or those with no church background, what kind of stuff might they be thinking about this topic? It just kind of gives you some stuff to be aware of. If you were going to preach on this topic, what are some questions you might need to address in your sermon? And you'll see some various, questions there. Related topics, like if you were going to preach on this, what are some adjacent topics you should be aware of? Potential misconceptions. If a person was listening to a sermon on this topic, what are some common misconceptions? Like Easter is just a religious holiday with no relevance to modern life. Easter is only meant to be experienced personally, and there's not any kind of greater significance. We also added in here practical application. I mean, it goes on and on about things that, potential sensitivities, things if you were going to preach on this topic. So here you go, starting on Monday morning, you put in a topic and you are already just starting to really flesh out, if you were going to preach on this topic, what would you do? I'm going to add this to starting new life on Easter, because I actually already did create that topic, and I'm going to add this to that project. I could do this multiple times on multiple slightly related ones, but we're going to move down. Let's find some verses. Now, here's kind of a cool thing. This is where AI is a way better and more effective tool than Google. If for this specific tool specifically, if you go to Bible Gateway or Google and you search for some kind of a Bible verse, like finding new new life on Easter, it's going to look for the key words like finding new life Easter and look in the Bible if it can find those key words together. This looks at the concept of finding new life on Easter and finds if there are any Bible verses that match that concept. That makes this tool especially powerful and different than anything you're going to find online, because AI looks at the concepts. Now, you can do this multiple times to get multiple verses, but you can see we're going to add this. We'll see what we have here. We were buried, therefore, with him by baptism into death, in order that just as Christ was raised from the dead, we too may walk in the newness of life. You can see that talks about the concept of Easter as well as finding a new life. But let's go ahead and add that to our, you can search for it. We're going to do starting new life on Easter and add that. So that was helpful. We have historical verse context. Again, if you look up a specific Bible verse, let's actually do this one, Romans 6:4. What is the historical background? Maybe we want to gear our sermon around that verse. So let's get some historical background. While it's doing that, just to give you, I wanted to circle back around to this. Every tool costs a certain amount of credits to use. And that's the big structure of using SermonSpark is that you are given a certain amount of credits to use each month, and each tool usage costs a certain amount of credits. So that's just kind of a big picture there. So here's some historical setting of Romans 6:4. It gives us an idea of when it was written, the author, cultural and social context. You can see all kinds of stuff. I'm just going to go and add that to our starting new life on Easter. There we go. And on we go. We also have the topical song finder. I want you to be aware of this is not meant to be like coming up with Christian songs for you to sing on Sunday. This is a sermon writing tool. So the intent of this is I know from experience, pastors are always looking for something to add to their sermon. That's what this tool is about. So if you say, I don't know, I just want to find like a song about finding new life on Easter, so that when I'm preaching, I'm making a point and I could say, it's kind of like blank said in this song, and then you share the lyrics or share the story behind it or share why the person wrote that song. It gives you an avenue of how to write, how to have an example. Same with the movie scene finder. This is not meant to find Christian movies. This is saying, people out there watch movies all the time. Are there any scenes from movies that you could talk about that maybe might impact that you could use in your sermon? So you would say, there was this scene in this movie that came out just a few years ago. And in this scene, there's a character named, I don't know, Captain America, whatever. And Captain America had to die. He was a young, scrawny boy, and he became a strapping man of Captain America. Whatever, I don't know. Just like whatever. I won't go any further than that. But the idea there is that I know that pastors are always looking for some kind of just story examples from life. I think we have a question. Is
Yeah,
there
we have a
anything?
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How does this work with preaching from the lectionary?
I do not have any tools in here at this moment related to the lectionary. What I would say is I think that's usually built around a verse. Almost all of the tools have the ability to start with a Bible verse. And so if there is a Bible verse that the lectionary weekend is built around, you can start with that verse and use all the tools built off those verses.
Thanks, David.
Yeah. Uh, I just wanted to clarify those things. We have some original language stuff. Sometimes people love going down that route, and you're like, the word here, like if you can, I looked up the word resurrection. The word resurrection, it comes from this. It's used here, and you can go down as far down that as you want to go. Now, I'll move on to the writing stuff, and I'll let you know that these are actually the most common, popular tools that we have. And so, for example, a sermon title. If you say, I'm preaching this sermon this week, and I just need some new ideas of what I should call this sermon, start here, run it a few times, and maybe you'll get some ideas for a sermon. Actually, I'm going to go down to these next few. We have a metaphor creator, a sermon illustration tool, and then a Bible story modernizer. And these are, again, when a pastor is writing a sermon, I know you're always trying to say God's love is kind of like, or God's forgiveness is, to illustrate this, let me tell you a story. Or maybe you want to tell a story of, David and Goliath, but try to modernize it and make an allegory of that story so people can really understand it. That's what these tools are for. And I know when I was preaching, I was always, I mean, I would sit there thinking, okay, how do I explain what forgiveness is and isn't? It's kind of like, and I would just, sit there for hours thinking about that. And a metaphor creator, you can just put in what is it you're trying to explain, and it's going to give you like 5 ideas off the bat. Yeah, Katie.
Yeah, we have another question, which I think is a good question. What sources do you use to train the AI?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll say this that all of our tools are built around very complex prompts that if I showed you the prompt, it would be pages long. And so that's what kind of explains to the large language models how they're supposed to answer these questions and gives it the very specific context and the output and the safety features that we want it to have. All right. I'm going to circle back to our sermon outline generator. This is by far the number one used tool on SermonSpark, and I'll show you how to use it. You start by which type of sermon outline do you want to use? So let's just do a topical outline, and then let's do our Finding New Life on Easter. And you could add in a Bible verse. I want to let everyone know that this is actually brand new. We are experimenting. This is an experimental tool that we've added in here. The ability to add a preacher. And with that, what I would give you one note, I might suggest adding the word pastor in front of whoever you put in here. You see, I've tried a few different place people in here, but use the word pastor and then give us some feedback because it's one of those things where we're going to need to keep tweaking this tool specifically, but I thought it would be helpful, a helpful wrinkle to add to offer pastors as an experimental option. And you'll see down here, you can provide a brainstorm, which I will explain to you what that is soon. But I'm going to go ahead and generate that outline. While I'm doing that, Katie, go ahead.
Yeah. So we have two questions. One from again from Jeff, um, about his question when it comes to our training. My question relates to the accuracy of the answers when asking questions.
Yes. The it's one of those things where we have found like it just through it come through a lot of trial and error of I'm and my team are putting in answers and testing and tweaking and testing and tweaking all of the prompts and background stuff that we're using. And so if you ever find something that is inaccurate, definitely let me know. Because I would say that we are probably the primary testers and you are our second testers, as in, if you ever find something that is inaccurate, let us know. My third thing I would say in regards to using even tools like this in general, when it comes to using any kind of AI or large language model, you don't want to just take the answers and just copy, paste, preach. Kind of like if you went to Google and somebody just said a Bible, just quoted a Bible verse, you should probably double check and look up that Bible verse yourself in another source. Or you should just make sure AI is not meant to write your sermon for you. It is meant to be a helpful tool, but that tool may have imperfections. So on that note, I would say is, the idea of trust but verify. Hear what this says, but it is between you do need to, and I would suggest to double check, confirm, and make sure that that what it says is accurate because anytime you use a large language model, it can make mistakes, which are called hallucinations. So that is possible. Yeah, I
Okay.
think a related question or another question.
Yeah, Rob had a question about are the Bible verses in different formats like NKJV, the Message, etc.
Yeah, we are going to add that feature. If like that's on our roadmap is to make it so we you get to choose your theological background and choose your specific Bible version. We haven't added that yet, but that's on the roadmap.
Yeah, good question. And so John asked a follow-up, I think, to the other is SermonSpark doesn't have its own set of sources, but inquires another LLM. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, as many of these tools do.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yep. All right. Um, Here is our outline, and we'll go ahead and add this to our project since we're working on our project there. Let's add that there. You can see right here is if ever you find a result unhelpful or helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You also notice right here, there's two options. You can copy it or you can download it. But the thing about copying is I'll just show you this. I started a Google Doc right here about starting a new life on Easter. And if this was kind of where I was putting in my writing stuff, we have possible sermon titles. I could copy and paste all of my results there, copy and paste all my research, copy and paste my outline here. And maybe this is where I start my writing is I start here and then I begin my writing process. But that's just so you can kind of see how the copy and then the download feature could work. Or if you opened up like ChatGPT, which I have right here, you could copy and paste that right into ChatGPT and say, this is a sermon outline. And then what do you want to do next? You can say, I'm going to give you some tasks related to this outline. And then you're off to the races. You can be kind of take that outline by putting it in ChatGPT and go further with what you've received. And yeah, here's some things you could do. Expand sections, condensing, create a full manuscript. I don't really suggest that. Develop sermon slides, write discussion questions. There's things you could do from that, from there. Let me go back. Now, I want to just move to the final two tools, which are actually big, transcripts and brainstorms. So transcripts, let me show you here. Transcripts is a tool where you can input a transcript from a YouTube video, from a video or audio file, or if you have the transcript already, you can go ahead and just copy and paste your entire sermon transcript right there. And I'll just show you, we'll copy this sermon. We will, this is Fierce Church. We'll just put that there. We will put the link right here. And I want to show you one specific thing that's brand new. If you are just uploading the sermon, you can click this button right here and it will just move you forward to the next step. If you input the entire an entire sermon, then what will happen is I'll show you right here. It's going to download the video and then it's going to offer you an opportunity to snip out and find just the sermon. And so that's where some people gave us feedback and they said, I'm just uploading the sermon. It annoys me to have to do that intermediary step. So we gave people the option to click a button and you can jump past that. But if you have to upload the entire service, then you do have the ability to just upload to find where it is. This is actually completed. It is downloading the video. So we'll come back. I'll show you what it looks like to snip the video. But let's say here we have Thomas Road Baptist Church. I was just in a meeting with them at this training thing a few days ago in Virginia. And so here's a sermon from the pastor. And what you could do again, you could copy or download this transcript. Oh, the one thing I want to tell you about the transcript. This is not just a YouTube transcript. We use the absolute top transcription tools available to us on the market to create the highest quality transcript we can possibly create. So that's worth knowing. And also, we offer our transcript tool for free. So for individuals who just need to get a transcript, I would say we're probably the only sermon-related free transcription tool with the highest quality background ability on the market that is free. So that's kind of something I'm very proud of, just knowing that we offer churches the highest quality ability there. But once you have the transcript, there are 5 things you can currently do with a transcript. You can generate group questions. You can create social media posts, ideas. You can create a sermon blog, a sermon summary, and then a devotion. The sermon summary, what that's kind of meant to do is it gives you a short, a medium, and a long sermon summary. You could use the short sermon summary for a Facebook post or to put on your website. Maybe the long sermon summary you want to put on your YouTube video, but it just gives you a few options there. And the devotion, one of the cool things about this, you can choose between 1 and 6 days. If you choose 1 day, it's going to give you a more robust devotion that you could kind of, you almost use as like a sermon related output that you print out and give to all your congregation for Sunday morning. The rest of them are going to be a little bit shorter. Like, let's just look at this. We'll do a generated devotion. The way that I would love to see churches use something like this more often is to lean into texting ministry, or to say, like, how can we help our congregation take the point of Sunday morning and take it further and take it, longer by saying, let's use something like the Glue's free texting platform, or use Text in Church, or use one of your church's database or church management system. And let's text out these very short devotions that are all built around our church's sermon, so that the point of the sermon lives beyond Sunday to encourage people all throughout the week. And you can see here, there's a scripture, a reflection, an application, and a prayer. And that's what you'll get however many days you choose, other than if you choose 1 day. Let me go back to the transcript and let's do a group question generator. It's going to create group questions here. You can see they take typically about 20 seconds or so. We have an opening question, some general observations, understanding the message, and then off you go to questions. I will let you know that you can be creative about how to use some of these tools. I've had one person that said that they are preaching on a topic and they actually use the group question generator to help them generate questions that they should think about when preaching on a topic. It's just saying that sometimes you can use tools in different kinds of ways, and that's one idea. All right, I'm going to move on to the final tool, which is our newest tool called Brainstorms. Now, Brainstorms is our first tool that is actually a part of our newest paid tier We just launched a paid tier where a user can get 3,000 credits a month, and it only costs $7.95 a month. And we're going to add more kind of complex tools like this. But to my knowledge, this is the only tool like this of any platform, period. If you can find another tool like this, let me know. But this is why we built this tool. When I would preach, I would often find myself walking around my house, talking to myself out loud. And some of that, of course, is pleading with God to give me insight on what I'm trying to say to the congregation. And beg, plead, bargain, just trying to figure out what I'm supposed to say. But I would go around and almost like practice preaching out loud by saying, okay, I'm trying to say it's like this, and here's what I need to think about. And I would just kind of talk. Well, here's the kind of the cool thing in how you can use this. We made it so you could record yourself um, uh, just talking out loud about whatever you want to talk about. And then you can record it and then use our tools, or it will transcribe what you recorded, and then you could copy it and use it however you want to use it. But I'll show you. You can make the choice right here. When you record it, do you want the output to be more coherent, meaning it takes everything you say and it tries to make sense of it a little bit, or more verbatim, meaning it's going to just take exactly what you said, take out a few ums and ahs, and then use it. So I'm going to record right here. This is David. I'm preaching this week about finding new life after Easter. So I need to start with some kind of story about new life and about a person who just needed a change in life. And we're going to talk this today about, have you ever felt like you needed a change? Have you ever, and maybe come up with some examples of when does somebody need a change? How do you know if you need a change in your life? What does needing a change even look like? And have you ever felt like you wish you could start over? And maybe that's the direction we go as we think about how do we start over? Have we ever wished we wanted to redo? We wish we could go back. We wish we could, and on we'll go. I mean, you can pause it and go answer the door or the phone or whatever, and then keep going. If you wanted to enter the text and actually would help you to just write, you could do that instead of just of the voice. So we'll go ahead and transcribe that. But while it's doing that, I'll just show you. You can see it's in progress here. Here's one I completed. It was very short, but what you could do you want to take that and create some metaphors from what you just write? Create some sermon illustrations, or go ahead and create a sermon outline from your brainstorm. And again, from that brainstorm, you could copy it or download it, share it with ChatGPT. We'll copy it, put it over into ChatGPT, and then explain what we want to do with it. We could say, come up with, I don't know, an idea for a blog from this brainstorm. We'll eventually expand the things you can do with the brainstorm, but we just wanted to start somewhere, offer this tool, and see how helpful, how people are using it, and then we can expand to other tools within SermonSpark. So with that, that is everything related to SermonSpark. It's important. Oh, I'll show you one other thing related to fun. This is one of those things. If you need a way to help your kids, eyes roll in the back of their heads, let's do Ephesians 4. We can change the persona of a Bible verse, which is not meant to make fun of the Bible. This is meant to be a fun, light, humorous, imagining of the Bible, not making fun of it. So please don't misinterpret what's happening here. But my favorite is do Generation Alpha, which this makes my kids just like go crazy. So here's Ephesians 4:24 through 26. So broskies, you got to put on that fresh drip of a new self, created with mad riz and the mold of God's Sigma vibes, full of legit righteousness and truth. Bet that, fam. And don't forget, keep it real and stop the cap with each other, because we're all part of the same squad. If you get heated, no biggie, but don't let that negative aura linger, or it'll be all kinds of sus. There you go.
It's
I
too
hope that
much, David.
hope that inspires you for today. Um, but again, meant to be fun. And there's also a songwriter, a poem writer, and a story writer. So with that, that is everything related to Sermon Spark. And I want to leave a few minutes for questions here.
We do have some questions. Well, we have one at least. Feel free to give us some more if you would like in the Q&A. Calvary Tabernacle has a question about how do credits work. So within each module, every time we generate, it charges you. Also, do the credits run over if you don't use them all for the month?
Yep, that's a great question. Um, the we have a certain, yeah, you get a certain amount of credits, and and then with the credits, yeah, every time you use a tool, the credits go down. So you can see, I mean, I have a supercharged amount of credits because I'm testing this. And you do have a certain amount of credits each month. And and that's where we've had a bunch of users. SermonSpark has been completely free for the last year. And that's where we have, moving towards 6,000 users on SermonSpark right now. And users have begun to ask us and say, David, how can we get more credits? And so that's where we have launched our paid tier of 3,000 credits. At some point, we'll make an even a larger tier as we add more complex tools in the future.
Okay. Does it work with other languages like Spanish?
Oh, that's a great question. To that, I think that we'll have to put that. I'm going to write a note because I'm going to add that to our personalization roadmap. So our first personalization round is going to be related to adding Bible versions and denominational perspectives, and I'm going to add language. So thanks for bringing that up. That's a great thing. Other questions?
Why would we need to go to ChatGPT considering you're giving us all the tools for a sermon we need?
Yeah, you don't need to, but it's one of those things where we made it. There's people at different, levels of the spectrum, and some people want to take that base that we give them and try to do more with it. Also on our roadmap eventually is to add a go further like chat feature within after a result. So that's we'll eventually make it so you can chat further with your result within SermonSpark. But for now, it's just noting that there are people out there that they really would like to do to take that result, and then who knows what they want to do with it. We just want to give people the opportunity.
Okay. And then Rob asked, do the credits start over each month or do they add up and carry over?
Yes, that's a good question. I'm pretty sure they add up, but I I I have to double check with that with Jason Collier, even though because our developer is the one who worked on that specific piece. And now, let me double check with them.
Yep, same question. Uh, all right. And does this illustration maker find a real life story that connects to the sermon, or does it just make up fictional stories only?
No, the illustration is meant to be illustrations from real life. The sermon, the story modernizer makes up a story.
Okay. And then for the premium paid level, does that simply add credits or are some tools like brainstorming exclusive to paid levels?
The only tool that is exclusive to the paid level is our brainstorming tool. Transcription is available for everyone. And then we will add from time to time premium level tools. And brainstorming tool is our first premium level tool.
And then Jeff said he loves the scripture rewriter.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. That's I just know that pastors sometimes want to come up with anything to squeeze just interest or to help people help a sermon to make more sense. And
Yeah.
that's where you might go to rewriting a scripture in a slightly humorous thing just to make the point. You say the scripture in one way. Oh, I do have a clarification. Yes, Jason Collier said they actually do not run over. There's a monthly allotment of of the credits.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty standard
Yeah,
uh for
yeah,
most AI tools.
yeah,
But it is a lot of credits.
yeah, yeah. We there's about 20% of users that are hitting our the max each month. And that's where, we're going to keep, just adding more value to what we have. And that's where in our hearts, we just wanted to make something that was a gift and is as helpful as possible to the highest number of pastors out there. And so that's really, I mean, the amount of tools that we give and the amount of credits we offer for free is, I feel like, is actually pretty high.
Yeah, Blessed Sacrament had a question about can we have a trial run to see how well it works? There is a free
Yeah, I mean, you can have up to 1,000 credits a month for free, or um, there's, it's almost like there's no harm in just signing up and playing with it because you get a certain number of credits for free. The paid tier is the only one, that has the brainstorming tool, and that costs 7.95 a month. There's no trial to that, but I mean, if you want to pay 7.95 for 1 month and then use it and see if that's helpful to you. It's more of we built that for that pastor that's how they write their sermon. And you can also use that brainstorming tool to create other kinds of content. Like maybe you want to write an email or a blog and you just want to talk out loud and have it transcribe it. That's where I'm hoping that users will find creative ways to use the tools we've created in ways we've never even dreamt of before. And those are some examples. Yeah. Are there any other questions?
I tried to get an account, but it sent me an email. How long does it typically take to get the email?
Oh, it should be pretty quick. Of course, you might always check your spam. You never know how those things might go in there.
Yeah.
Um, before I know we'll answer any other questions, but I just want to remind everyone, just to I do want to thank the missional marketing branded companies. And I would suggest if your church is just trying to figure out where you go next, definitely go to AI for Churches and book a call and let's just have a conversation. We can connect you with either myself or Katie, or one of the other great coaches we have, and just kind of talk about what does it look like for your church to take next steps in your online presence, and that could be anything. And so I hope everyone will take advantage of that 20-minute call. We have some free reports, all kinds of stuff that we could help you guys with. But
Yeah.
just say that's a really, really great next step.
Yeah,
Any
Jeff.
last few questions? And
Yeah, no, Jeff just said thank you. You know, he's moving to the paid because he uses it a lot, and he wanted to support us. So I appreciate that, Jeff, for that shout out. John wanted to ask if there's a sneak peek of upcoming features or tools. I definitely think the brainstorm is our big next tool before we start any others.
yeah, I don't have any other ones to share that not ready yet to share kind of where we're going next. But that's where, the release you just saw, which include a few updates like being able to bypass if you're just uploading the sermon. If you're brand new to Sermon Spark, we added a kind of a welcome feature, and then you just kind of see, the brainstorming tool and some other stuff. There's a bunch of stuff we're working on, but not ready to just share that yet. Um,
Jeff said it's 663 if you pay for the year. So just a heads up, if you pay for the year, you get a tiny little discount.
yeah.
And then Noah said, what services does AI for churches provide and what kind of things do you help with?
Yeah, it's a great question. So AI for churches, we do a few things. We have a cohort that costs 99 bucks for 4 weeks. It's kind of an AI 101. If your church is brand new to just AI in general, you should have everyone in your church go through an AI cohort. We also do, Katie and I will do AI trainings. So if you want to invite us to your church online or even in person to do an AI training to get everyone on the same page, we can do that. We also offer just AI coaching. So if you want us if you have one specific question you really want to kind of get an answer to, Kate, you can meet with Katie and I, or if we kind of want to do monthly coaching, we can help you figure out specific use cases for problems you're trying to solve with AI, or honestly, just tech stuff in general. Katie and I definitely spend a lot of time investigating what's out there, and we are happy to tell you what's good, what's not good, and what kind of next steps you should take.
Yeah, I think the cohort's a great next step if you're interested in AI. It's only $99. You 4 classes. I teach AI at the university level. You're gonna get, I think your money's worth out of the course for sure. It's definitely foundational, so if you feel like you don't understand anything, you're gonna get something out of it. But if you feel like you've been using ChatGPT for a while now, I still think you're gonna get something out of it. So, either way.
Yeah. All right. I think with that, we're going to close for the day. And I thank you guys so much. Oh, Katie, I see there's a question about our book release.
Yes, hopefully this book, AI Prompts for Church Leaders, will be out by the end of next week. That's the hope that it will be on Amazon by the end of next week, so you can search for that. The manuscript from YouTube is free. You can use that tool. The transcript tool is free. Of course, there's questions coming in here. Where's the info for the cohort? You can go to AI for Churches and click cohorts right up there at the top. Um, and that will take you to a page that will tell you more about our cohorts. And then, yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, we do cohorts every month. So we start every single month. It's 4 weeks. And so you can jump in there and it's great. All right. I think that's everything. Guys, feel free to use me as a resource. We're going to send out this video. We're going to send out links to the stuff that we talked about. And if there's anything else, you can definitely message within SermonSpark or send me an email. So thanks for everyone. Hope this has been helpful. And we're excited to see where SermonSpark goes next. And we'd love to have your guys' feedback and suggestions and thoughts related to what you need and what you would love to see next. Thanks so much, everyone.